see the big top. Hi, good morning. Welcome to Suds and Fluff Family Farm. My name is Martha. It is morning, and today we are taking care of one of our least favorite homesteading jobs, which is butchering some birds. So we're butchering a duck and a few roosters. So I'm gonna be taking care of the actual gutting, and Nathan and some of the children are taking care of the slaughtering. So I've got my table clean here with some butcher paper. I got my pot to put the organs in. We've got 2-gallon bags, Ziploc freezer bags. This is our very simple butchering setup. We have a swing hanger thing that we're hanging the birds on, and there's our pot of hot water to dunk them in so that it makes it easier to pluck them. We don't want to rip the skin, right? So pull the skin tight when you're plucking. So Levi, with one hand, pull the skin tight.
I am.
Okay.
I'm very tight.
It's also snowing a bit or something. And so we've got 4 birds. Is it 1 duck?
2 ducks.
Oh, okay.
And 2 chickens.
I see that one now. All right, so pretty soon we're gonna be able to bring in the first ones, right? Okay. Let me know if you need to switch for a little bit.
Yeah, it would be nice if I could switch.
All right, so I did take a turn at some plucking, and we have now the 2 chickens. The 2 roosters are inside here, and I'm gonna go ahead and take care of cutting them open and getting all the guts out and cleaning them up for cooking. When I'm making the first incision here, I want to be careful to not go too deep because I don't want to puncture any of the intestines because that can cause a mess. So I'm trying not to go too deep, and I want to cut a hole so I can pull out the guts. It's kind of silly that I'm wearing the Angora neck warmer, but I did just come in from outside helping with the plucking, and it was really cold. But I'm just realizing I didn't take off my fancy neck warmer while I do this. So this is something we do a couple times a year. We don't do a huge number of birds because we don't have a plucker and just the time it takes. It is time consuming, and it's not that it's the hardest job, it's getting the butchering done while we continue doing everything else we need to do, feeding children, taking care of children, and all the other chores that come along with that. We get a little bit behind when we're taking care of the butchering. So the first thing that came out was the gizzard. Is it the gizzard? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That big round thing. And then I'm trying to use my hand to loosely pull out the liver, the heart, and the intestines, kind of all in one go. And then I like to cut the liver away from the gallbladder if I can right away, because the gallbladder has a lot of really disgusting liquid in it. You do not want that getting on the meat, and you don't want it bursting if possible. So I'm going to carefully slice away the liver and the heart. There it is. So those we're going to be cooking up and eating. I'm going to put them in this pot here. And then I'm going to cut off the connection to the gizzard. And that I will also be cutting up and cleaning to make some broth with. So now I'm just going to be continuing to remove the rest of the organs. Try not to make a giant mess bursting anything. And then I usually cut off the little tail piece at the bottom. And I just get rid of that piece. I know a lot of people do also the gutting outside, which does sound good. But for us, we just like to bring it inside where it's warmer, and we don't really have a great space set up outside because we don't let the rest of our birds out until we have the plucking done. Then they come inside to get gutted. So now I'm going to turn it around, and here at the neck we have some glands, and we have the windpipe and some ligaments and stringy stuff I'm going to be cutting off. And I'll cut off a really thick piece of tough skin at the top. So these roosters were pretty small. They were from this year's hatching, and we had a hen hatch out a nest. Somehow we ended up with, I think, 10 roosters and 1 hen for this year's chicks. So we definitely have a lot more roosters we could butcher, and we're really not sure how many we're going to get to. The chickens are easy to pluck compared to the ducks. So we could probably do a good number of the roosters. The ducks are just so much harder to pluck. There's so many more feathers. They're bigger, and even inside their organs are more connected. There's more connective tissue, and they're just tougher to butcher. So now I'm going back into the cavity inside, scraping out any kidneys, trying to get the lungs out by scraping them up in one piece, ideally, so that they come out in hopefully a pretty big chunk. Just want to get out anything that isn't going to be yummy to eat. And then last step here is I'm going to cut off the feet at the leg joint here. You might think this would be better to do before getting inside the bird, but I have done that, and it actually ends up working out badly because those bones are sharp, so then you're dealing with a sharp bone like right on your forearm as you're reaching in there. So I prefer to do this step last, and I am going to set the feet aside to use in a broth with the gizzards. And then the last part is I'm going to bring it to the sink. I'm going to rinse it off with some nice cold water and put it in a bag. So we've done the rest of the birds. There were 4 total, and now I'm going to be cooking up the liver, which I've rinsed off. And I'm going to cut off any ligaments and anything that doesn't look like it's a good thing to cook up for the liver. And we're going to fry it up in a pan. I like to cook the liver right away so that it's not sitting around, it's nice and fresh. And I also like to cook up the hearts. So first I'm doing the liver. And my children absolutely love eating the liver. They think it's delicious. And I can barely even get a few pieces before it's gone. It's also really, really good for you, so we don't want to waste that. I know a lot of homesteaders would devote a whole day to processing all the birds at once, and that does sound good, and in my mind it sounds like it would be worth it to get all that meat in the freezer. But for us, it just hasn't worked out that way. We do a few at a time. just because we have to fit it into our schedule of taking care of the children. And since we don't have like a room that we're butchering in, it's outside, we also have to be able to let out the other birds. And since they're free ranging for the most part, we don't want them coming around and pecking at the remains and getting in the way of that. So there's kind of an order to what we're doing. I'm gonna let those cook. Here come the hearts. As you can see, the duck hearts are quite a bit bigger, especially there was one duck. One of the ducks was born earlier, an earlier on batch, and then the medium-sized heart is from the younger-sized batch of ducks, if that makes sense. So for the hearts, I'm just gonna cut off the tops where there's some arteries and veins, actually, and then some fat. So I'm going to cut that tough stuff off, and those will be ready to cook that way. All right, the liver is all cooked. Next, go in the hearts. Just gonna brown them up a little bit, and then I'll put the lid on and let them steam so that they're fully cooked. There's the liver, that's the amount we got, which was quickly gone. Okay, now I'm putting out the gizzards. This is the part of the bird where they grind up a lot of their food. There's rocks that they ingest and random things in the gizzard, so you have to cut them open and clean them out. Cleaning them out is fairly easy because you pull off the lining and it usually comes off pretty nice and easily. There's like a slimy, yucky green lining and it pulls off and all that yucky stuff comes out. I'm going to do that with all of these gizzards, and then I'm going to rinse them off carefully. You make sure no rocks or anything yucky is left. And then I'm going to be making some broth with them. These make a great broth, and I'm going to be throwing in the feet from the birds as well, which I know a lot of people say that you should peel the feet, but I'm not going to peel the feet. It's difficult. You have to boil them, and I've tried that a couple times, and it really wasn't worth doing because it just was very hard. So I'm just going to rinse the feet off really, really well. I'm going to scrub them. I'm going to go ahead and just put them into the Instant Pot with my gizzards all cleaned up, and that's going to make a nice batch of broth. The knife I'm using for this is from our butchering kits. It's kind of like a filleting style knife, and it's sharp. It's got a thin blade and a pointy tip, so it's pretty convenient for this. As you can see, I'm trying to peel off the lining here. The duck linings didn't come off super easily. I mean, it's still fairly easy, but they didn't come off in one piece. Unlike the chicken gizzards, which they peeled off all in one piece very quickly. As you can see, even just from 4 birds, you do get quite a lot of good products to use, even without cooking the actual carcass of the birds. We've got the organ meat, and we've got a nice batch of healthy, nutrient-rich. It's not bone broth, but it's a broth. The ducks that we are raising are Muscovy ducks, and they have a really great dark meat. It's almost like a steak, and we really like them because they're great foragers and they have a great meat. But they are definitely hard to pluck. They are definitely tougher to butcher, but we really enjoy them and we feel that it's worth it. So there's the gizzards. I'm gonna get those all in the pot and get them rinsed off. Let's get this cleaned up. The butcher paper is nice because even though I will wash the counter, it just gets rid of all the yucky stuff pretty easily, and that will all go into our compost pile. So right away, I'm gonna get the feet and the gizzards rinsed and start a batch of broth in the Instant Pot. Now, this is much later in the day, in the evening, and we've been able to clean up. I've had a nice shower, and we've made a bunch of food, and now I'm sitting down and going to relax while I spin some yarn on my little spinning wheel. I'm plying together 2 singles of some California red sheep's wool that I've blended with some of our own Angora wool. So these singles were really fun to spin, and I really like plying. It's just so fun to see the yarn coming together after all that work. And it is just so relaxing to feel the wool. It's very calming, and it's exciting to think about what I will knit with it, or I do sometimes sell the yarn on Etsy. The sheep's wool is an oatmeal color, and the Angora is, I used both fawn and some of the gray Angora that I have. So it's going to be a blend of some light neutral colors. As you can see, the bobbin is starting to slowly fill up with the yarn. The spinning wheel I have is the Polywog by, I think it's Spinolution wheels. It's their smallest wheel. It's very portable. It's very affordable as far as new spinning wheels go. And I've had it for about, it's a year and a half or a little more now, and I absolutely love it. It works great. It's easy to put away. Obviously, I have lots of little children that want to dismantle and play with it if it's out. So it's very easy to get out, put up on it, even on a shelf. I think it's even marketed as a child's wheel because it is small. It is shorter than a lot of wheels. Look how cute those little, what are they called? Whatever is pedaling the wheel here. They are just adorable. So that's how the yarn is looking on the bobbin. Love it. Now I'm going to wind off what I've got on this bobbin onto my Niddy Noddy. And then I'll be able to finish spinning the rest of the yarn back onto this bobbin. It's just that I filled the bobbin, so I have to wind it off. You can get upgrades for this wheel too, where you can add a riser so that it's a little bit taller, and there's also an accelerator and a larger, I think it's a 4-ounce bobbin that you can get, and I think the ones I have are 2 ounces. Pretty sure. So now I'm going to use my nitty knotty here to get the yarn wound off. This is always a fun part. Once I get into a rhythm with this, it does go pretty quickly. It's just a matter of following that same pattern up and around. It does take a little bit of time, so we're going to do fast motion on this. And I just have to tie in the ends of the yarn in a little figure-8 knot so that it doesn't come undone, and it holds the rest of the yarn in place. Alright, and I'm going to wrap it up neatly into a hank, I guess. So I'll have that one, and I'll have one more. And then I'm going to put it in a pot of water. Well, first I wash it with a little bit of dish soap, and then I'm letting it soak overnight. Then I will hang it and let it dry. Well, friends, thank you for watching. I think next video I'll be able to show you that finished yarn after it's been all dried, and maybe we will look at some knitting projects and who knows what else. All right, hope you're doing well. Take care, bye.